Lesnar is one of the most complicated WWE superstars of all time. He was an individual that earlier on in his career was pushed to the moon, and once he was at the very top of the mountain, left the WWE, only to come back and be an even bigger star and an even bigger monster 8 years after leaving. And fans often go hot and cold with Brock Lesnar. Sometimes they love him, and sometimes they just get incredibly annoyed by how overpowered he can be. So today we're going to look back at Brock Lesnar's career as we're going to tier rank every single Brock Lesnar WrestleMania match that he's ever had, and we're going to rank them from Hall of Fame all the way down to trash. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're going to fall in love with this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's jump into it. All right, let's start off with WrestleMania 19, a 25-year-old Brock Lesnar taking on the then WWE champion Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. This was Brock Lesnar's first WrestleMania, and he was already main eventing it. This is just goes to show you just how much trust the WWE had that they had, no pun intended, the next big thing right there with Brock Lesnar. And this match demonstrated that he truly was the next big thing. He was so good in this match, but so was Kurt Angle. These two have an undeniable chemistry, a chemistry that can only be explained if you're actually watching the match. It is two people that know the technical beauty that is professional wrestling, and they put it into show for everyone in Safeco Field in Seattle. And what's crazy is that this match could have been so much better because Kurt Angle went into this match with a broken neck, and they still went on to put a 20+ minute barn burner, an absolute clinic that ended in a very infamous way with Brock Lesnar, who was supposed to win with a shooting star press, botching it, landing on top of his head. But because Brock Lesnar just doesn't have a neck, he just has muscle there. He just got up, shook it off, and F5'd Kurt Angle for the victory. Overall, this match could have been better, and it was still a fantastic, an absolutely fantastic WrestleMania main event. To me, this goes into the Hall of Fame tier, folks. Next, let's look at a very dark match. It is Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special guest referee. Dude, on the time, on paper, this is a genuine dream match. We still had peak young Goldberg taking on, again, a brutal, a monstrous Brock Lesnar. And in the between two of them, the storyline was the only person that was wild enough to be able to tame those two was Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is a trifecta, an absolute concoction that should have been a fantastic showcase, and it was an absolute freaking mess. The problem was that Brock Lesnar had quit the WWE to go pursue an NFL career, and Goldberg chose to not re-sign with the WWE. And the crowd in New York City got wind of that, and they absolutely hijacked this match. Chants of "you both suck," chants of "this is boring," them chanting "na na 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 hey, goodbye" to both of them. It was honestly uncomfortable to watch. Clearly, none of these guys cared because they were done with the WWE. That was their very last match. Imagine yourself when you quit your job. You didn't give two shits about your last day. You didn't care about your duties, and you could tell that neither could these guys. Stone Cold was kind of the only highlight of this match, as he did a pretty decent job of helping tame the crowd and at the very least try and work them a little. Yeah, these guys did not care about this match. The crowd could not care about either of these guys. Stone Cold Steve Austin ended up stunning both of them out of the WWE, and this just shouldn't have happened. You shouldn't have two guys that are both leaving the WWE taking on each other in their last match. You should have one guy that's staying beating the guy that's leaving. That's just how it should be. So yeah, the crowd absolutely turned on this. It's a legendary match at this point, like in terms of like wrestling history, like going back to that moment in time and how this happened. It's kind of wild, but the match, still trash. This video is brought to you by patreon.com/SantiZap, where you're gonna get even more wrestling content than you're already getting here on this channel. You're gonna get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early. You're gonna get the Monday Night Raw reviews, the SmackDown reviews, the wrestling Q&As that we're doing over there, and more. So go check it out, patreon.com/SantiZap. There might be something that you like there. It'll be the top link in the description. All right, back to the video. So then Brock Lesnar would take an 8-year hiatus from the WWE WWE, where he would try his hand at the NFL. He'd make the Minnesota Vikings practice squad, which is insane for somebody that's never played football in their entire life. That's crazy. Then he'd go out to New Japan Pro Wrestling, become New Japan heavyweight champion over there. Then he'd go to the UFC, dominate the UFC, become one of the greatest heavyweights of all time at that moment in time. And of course, he would then come back to the WWE, and he would come back an even bigger star than he left, because he was a household name at this point. Brock Lesnar was a must-see draw. And for WrestleMania 29, they paired him up against one of WWE's poster boys in Triple H in what was a pretty decent no-holds-barred match. To me, it felt a little bit weird that Triple H ended up winning this, but they had a previous match at SummerSlam where Brock Lesnar broke Triple H's arm. But at the very minimum, I really felt like Brock Lesnar should have still won this match as well. But hey, Brock Lesnar took a couple of L's earlier on in his career. I don't know if it was Vince McMahon trying to get one over on him, but still, this is one that he lost that I don't think he should have. I think the only problem with this match, because I think a lot of people look back on this as a match that was boring, that people weren't into. I think it's actually a pretty good match and a pretty hard-hitting match as well. The problem is that it had to follow up The Undertaker versus CM Punk, which was the best match of the night. Far and away, not even close. It was way better than this, but still, this is not a bad Brock Lesnar match. I think it's a fun one to go back and rewatch. I'm going to put this into the good category. I don't think it's going to blow your mind, but I don't think it's, trust me, there's some bad Brock Lesnar WrestleMania matches coming. This isn't one of them. Hey, you wanted to talk about some bad Brock Lesnar matches? Let's go look at WrestleMania 30, Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker for the Undertaker streak. The streak which was broken in this match by Brock Lesnar. Look, this match was bad. And a lot of people weirdly look back at WrestleMania 30 as this like majestic WrestleMania and cite this as one of the reasons as to why it was such a majestic WrestleMania. This match is objectively very bad. And I still think the decision to have Brock Lesnar beat the streak was wrong. Sure, did it help make him an absolute badass? Sure. But I think destroying John Cena a little bit later at SummerSlam and annihilating him and creating Suplex City, I felt like that did a bigger job at helping establish Brock Lesnar as this monster of the WWE. I don't think that he needed to beat the streak. And here's the thing. Undertaker, up until this point, had the best WrestleMania match consecutively ever since WrestleMania 21, except WrestleMania 22 in that weird casket match with Mark Henry. We don't talk about that. But he had been having classic after classic after classic, and this was the first absolute stinker. Didn't help that Brock Lesnar had accidentally given The Undertaker a concussion earlier on the match, and Undertaker could barely move. He was basically a sandbag for Brock Lesnar to toss around. This match was slow. It was broken. It was pretty botchy as well. But hey, you know what? At the very least, it gave us a moment in time that will never be forgotten. I almost said forgiven. I don't think I've forgiven this moment either. But it's a moment that's never going to be forgotten. It's a moment that's going to be replayed. It's a very important match in wrestling history, period. The match, objectively, though, is not very good. I don't think it's quite in the trash category alongside Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, so I'll put it just slightly above in meh. Next up, let's look at Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31, a main event that a lot of people did not want to see, a main event that people felt was forced, an individual in Roman Reigns that nobody wanted to see, and people were starting to get sick and tired of Brock Lesnar, so it felt like a lose-lose situation. But ultimately, the fans got behind this match because it actually ended up being an absolute treat, because a lot of people were expecting Roman Reigns to be the one to finally take it to Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar beat the shit out of Roman Reigns, and they told a really good story of the upstart Roman Reigns getting a lucky attack on Brock Lesnar, which busted him open, which left things open for Roman Reigns to maybe potentially pick up the victory. But this match was full of a lot of awesome close pinfalls. There were many moments where you thought that Roman Reigns was actually going to put away Brock Lesnar, but doesn't. Brock Lesnar, by the way, this is peak Brock Lesnar selling. He sold his ass off for Roman Reigns in this match. to add even more drama to this already fairly dramatic match. And of course, it's gonna, just like the streak, it's one of those matches that's going to be replayed over and over and over again. It's a very important match in WrestleMania history. Everything that happened was just worked out so well, and so many people did not give this a chance. This ultimately ended up being a great Brock Lesnar WrestleMania match. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that Brock Lesnar faced every single member of the Shield at some point at WrestleMania, because I forgot about Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose in a no-holds-barred match. Here's the thing, okay? This isn't bad. The problem is that it's a bad no-holds-barred match. The lead up to this would make you think that these guys were about to go to war, that this was going to be an absolute bloodfest. But really, Brock Lesnar just did the typical Brock Lesnar thing. This was just a German suplex factory. That's all it was. There was nothing special about this match. There were a couple of chairs here or there. There was a German suplex on top of a pile of chairs, but that's about as extreme as it got. There was nothing to this. And Dean Ambrose, frankly, I don't think give two shits about this match. He looked very uninterested in being there, and him and Brock Lesnar did not have the same chemistry that Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar had the year prior. This, to me, goes into the meh category. It's so close to trash, too. Well, looky, it didn't work the first time, so let's try it again. It's Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. Again. So I've already spoken of the travesty that was WrestleMania 20, but I'm delighted to say that this Universal Championship match was not a travesty. It was actually a lot of fun. It's actually a match that I frequently tell people I would actually use this match to try and get people into pro wrestling, because it's only 5 minutes, but it's a jam-packed 5 minutes. You got finishers, you got kickouts, you've got people going through barricades. It's a very fun car crash in a very short amount of time. I actually like this. I actually think that this is a good Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg match. I think it's one of Goldberg's better matches of his run. Again, Goldberg, anytime you get over 5 minutes, it starts to get rough. So they recognize that, and they made this a 5-minute match, and they packed as much as possible in those 5 minutes, and I think it worked. And I think it worked very, very well. It's one of my favorite Brock Lesnar WrestleMania matches, believe it or not, just because of how simple and to the point it is. I'm putting this in good. So all of our fears for WrestleMania 31 eventually came true at WrestleMania 33 with Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns Part 2. Look, if you thought that people didn't want to see Roman Reigns at the top of the card back at WrestleMania 31, oh my God, it was even worse at WrestleMania 33, because the crowd absolutely turned on this match. This match was absolutely lampooned by not just everyone at home, but everyone in the arena. They were entirely uninterested in what was happening in the ring. They were entirely uninterested in either of these guys being champion, and it didn't help that this was one of those 7-hour WrestleManias. The crowd hated this. And understandably so. It was just so predictable that these guys would get another WrestleMania match, and we'd already seen it up until this point. The only shocker of this is that Brock Lesnar actually ended up walking away with the victory, but that wasn't enough to help save this match. This match was just bad. Here's the thing. I'm willing to forgive a bad, sloppy match. What I'm not willing to forgive is a match that is boring, that doesn't respect my time. And that's what I felt about this match. It felt like it didn't respect my time. This is trash. I'm putting this in the trash bin. And to complete the trifecta of Shield members, we have Brock Lesnar versus Seth freaking Rollins for the Universal Championship, a match that opened WrestleMania 35. This is one of the best opening matches in WrestleMania history, and I think under most circumstances, this could have easily been the main event of this WrestleMania if it weren't for the fact that Becky Lynch was the hottest thing in professional wrestling at the time. That's why the women ended up main eventing. However, I think it ended up being a bit of a blessing in disguise that this match was not the main event, because this is that nearly 8-hour WrestleMania. I feel like the crowd would have been dead at that time. So I think it worked really nicely in both their favors that this was actually the opener. Now, when you go back and look at the history books of this match, it'll tell you that it was only a 2-minute match, which that doesn't tell the whole story, because there was like a 6 7-minute beatdown that Brock Lesnar delivered to Seth Rollins before the match even started, that in my head at least, I count as part of the match, even though officially it isn't. We had table spots on the outside, F5s. It was a fun little car wreck before the match even started, and then they get into the ring, and then Seth Rollins becomes Super Seth Rollins, slips out of an F5, boom, 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 a couple stomps, game over, Seth Rollins is champion in 2 minutes. But I didn't hate this. I think some people think that this is not a I think a lot of people would put this in meh or trash, but I'm gonna give this a little bit more credit. I'm gonna put this into the good category because I really did like the build up to it, and I did like what happened like pre-bell ringing, and ultimately I think they made the good choice and the right choice by putting that title on Seth Rollins as well. Look, this next one's a little bit weird. It's Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania 36. This is the WrestleMania that happened at the Performance Center in front of no fans because of the pandemic. And I feel like in front of a crowd, this match would have worked, but because it was in front of no one, it just felt like this quiet finisher fest. But I feel had this been in front of a crowd, Drew McIntyre hitting those claymores, people would have been going crazy. But because there was no one there to react, it just really all felt pretty flat. And I think that's why Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 33 worked. Even though it was a finisher fest, people were going pretty crazy for it. And I think that's what was missing for this match. It was missing a crowd. This is proof that a crowd can help make or break a match. And when there is no crowd, it breaks the match by default. I'm not going to put this into the trash category because that's not fair, but it can't go higher than meh. Next, we have the biggest WrestleMania main event of all time. At the very least, that's how they were coining it. Champion versus champion. Brock Lesnar, who is the WWE champion, taking on the Universal champion, Roman Reigns. Winner take all. The stakes of this match truly made it feel like this was the biggest WrestleMania main event of all time, even though all of us did not like the build up to this, and all of us did not like the fact that it was another Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar main event at WrestleMania. We had seen it so many times during the decade. But the fact that there was this much at stake made us interested, and it wasn't a situation like WrestleMania 34 where all of us turned on this match. The thing is that the crowd didn't make this match bad. I think it's just a bad match. I think it's a boring Brock Lesnar match. I think it's one of the more boring Roman Reigns matches of his entire run as well. It's kind of the same run-of-the-mill formula of a Brock Lesnar match. Suplexes, F5s, and same with Roman Reigns. You got Superman punches and spears. They didn't really innovate beyond that. I didn't like this match. I'm going to put this into the meh category at best. Again, not as bad as Lesnar Reigns WrestleMania 34, but it's not great either. And last but not least, we have the most recent Brock Lesnar WrestleMania match, that being Brock Lesnar versus the Nigerian giant Omos. And ultimately, this match ended up being exactly what we all thought it was going to be, that being just a sub 5-minute match that was going to end whenever Brock Lesnar was able to finally hit that F5. We could absolutely tell that that was going to be the finish well before this match even started, because the kid just kept selling, oh my God, can Brock Lesnar pick up Omos? Can Brock Lesnar? Of course he can pick up Omos. It's Brock freaking Lesnar. Okay, he's the alpha male of our species, for God's sake. Whenever aliens inevitably invade Earth, if they ask to see Earth's champion, we're all gonna give them Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar did everything that he needed to do. If anything, I would say that it was Omos that really didn't hold up his end of the bargain here. I don't think that Omos looked great in this match, but ultimately it's just a run-of-the-mill Brock Lesnar sub 5-minute match. There's really not that much to talk about. So many Brock Lesnar matches were under 5 minutes throughout his entire career in WrestleMania, and this is another one of them. It goes into the meh category. That's it. I'm done. Get out of here.